I love this handheld, I absolutely do. Now, it's not because it's from AyaNeo. In fact, I don't even care who the manufacturer is. It's just that I've been waiting for something like this for many years. Now guys, when you look at handheld gaming, there are a whole lot of options, but usually screen sizes 7 inches and above are reserved for x86 handhelds like the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck. On the Android side, till date, we've only had 3. The Logitech G Cloud, the Absolute, well, actually, only 2. The third is an abandoned before release device from Lenovo called the Legion Clay that I tracked down in China to get my hands on a prototype. Now these devices, nice as they all are, they're pretty underpowered. They are aimed at streaming and come with their own sets of issues. Now with other devices like the Retroid Pocket 5, the AYN Odin 2, even AyaNeo's own Pocket S, we've seen Android handhelds getting more and more powerful. But the one thing Android still did not have was a proper large screen handheld. The closest we could get to that was throwing a controller onto the Y700, or even more niche, buying a 3D printed conversion case for the same Y700. Not anymore though. The AyaNeo Pocket Evo, it fits the bill. It's got a gorgeous 7-inch OLED panel with a Full HD resolution and 165Hz refresh. Now if you are thinking, does size really matter? Before I answer that, if this is your first time here or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech. Roll that intro. Okay, jokes apart, does screen size matter? To me, on the wrong side of 30, it does. And in my humble opinion, to most people, regardless of age, when it comes to streaming, it will matter. Now that's because PC and console games are all made for large screen monitors and TVs, so the text, the UI, in a lot of cases, it's not very legible on anything under 7 inches. Now that's the reason why most x86 handhelds which run these type of games, including the aforementioned ROG Ally and the Steam Deck, they all come with 7-inch displays. And to me, streaming games onto this device, it's been an amazing experience. One I've been waiting for like forever. This OLED panel, it just brings everything to life. It's so damn cool to sit in bed and play AAA titles without worrying about frame rates or battery life. And it is also a pretty bright panel going up to almost 800 nits with support for HDR. So yeah, go ahead, click that toggle on Moonlight. Now guys, I understand streaming is a very niche use case and it might seem like I'm going out of my way to hype this device up. But I am that niche user. This is a Reddit post of mine from like 2 years back. If you have the time, go through it. I'll link it in the description. You'll get an idea of how obsessed I've been with the idea of finding the perfect device to stream on. Now, of course, that's not the only thing the Pocket Evo is good for, assuming you also want a large OLED screen. It's perfect for, say, native Android games. AyaNeo also includes a first-party key mapping solution for Android games that don't natively support gamepads. It works very well. Now the Pocket Evo is also excellent for any kind of emulation. It's got arguably the most powerful SoC on an Android handheld, the Snapdragon G3X Gen 2. Basically, the GPU performance here is better than what you get with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is better than what you get on a 8S Gen 3. So this is like the third most powerful Qualcomm GPU you can get your hands on. And given the fact that AyaNeo's included solid active cooling, you end up losing only about 10% of that peak performance when this is continuously pushed. That 10% though is very interesting because that 10% brings the Adreno A32's performance down to Adreno 740 levels. If you're unfamiliar, the A32 is the GPU that you get on the Pocket Evo, and the Adreno 740, that's the GPU you find on AYN's Odin 2 Portal. So in bursts here, the GPU performance, it's going to be better than the 8 Gen 2, but over time, it's more or less going to run the same as the 8 Gen 2. But now that is assuming the 8 Gen 2 you're comparing this with, that's able to sustain running at 100% without any hit on stability over long periods. The Odin 2 Portal, going by Russ's initial coverage, it seems to do great, losing almost no performance after being pushed for 20 minutes with the same test. Anyways, the G3X Gen 2 here, it's paired with up to 24 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM and up to a terabyte of fast UFS 4.0 storage that is expandable via microSD. Now that RAM, it's sure gonna come in handy if you're looking at, say, Winlator. I managed to get GTA 4 up and running, and I'm sure you know Winlator takes a lot of tinkering, and I've not really had the time to get into it totally because there have been way too many phones launching and I've been covering them. Now that said, I have seen footage of games running well on this chip since the Pocket S launched with the same G3X Gen 2. And I've even seen some demos of Winlator on the Pocket Evo itself. It's all been very promising. And with emulation, PS2, Wii and GameCube, anything that runs will run, and well. Upscaled, without any issues, the entire catalog that's compatible, you don't really need to tinker with the emulator. It's the same with the Switch too. Of course, given what happened with RGC, I'm not gonna showcase Switch emulation, but hey, that's perfectly doable. And with a lot of games, you actually end up getting a better than native Switch experience thanks to the fact that the games run on dock mode settings on a 1080p panel, and the sticks here, they're just so much better. These are Hall sensor analog sticks, full-sized, and this is basically what made me choose the Pocket Evo over the Odin 2 Portal. Now yes, this is a review unit that AyaNeo sent me, but on the days the pre-orders opened, I did not know that AyaNeo was sending me a unit. I don't usually cover handhelds, at least not regularly. I love them, I buy them as a hobby, so I had to choose which one to pre-order. And I ended up dropping my cash on the Pocket Evo because of these full-size sticks. AYN mentioned they were doing these small Odin 2 size sticks with replaceable caps, but increasing the height is not really going to increase the actual range of the sticks themselves, and with AAA games, when you're streaming, especially with shooters, small sticks, they're just very hard to use. The experience, it feels so off with them. That's one of the reasons why I think the Absolute failed spectacularly. Now the buttons are nice, a little loud and clicky and tactile. I'm not particularly picky about the buttons or the D-pad, so I found them good, comfortable to use. I love these Hall sensor triggers though, very large and comfortable. Actually, the Pocket Evo overall is very comfortable, ergonomic even. There's just enough space to rest your hands on, get a good grip. And I also added this little kickstand here. It helps me, set it up, if I'm just browsing or using it as a music player. Now, the fact that the Pocket Evo is ergonomic shouldn't be a surprise to anyone given they're pretty much using the AyaNeo 2's design. It's slimmer though. Not only that, it also happens to be quite light, only a bit heavier than the Switch OLED, while sporting almost twice the battery capacity at 8600 mAh. There are also a couple of extra buttons here and RGB LED rings around the sticks. And the speakers, they complement that awesome display very well. They are loud, great for games. Do note that the fan, when maxed out, can get pretty loud. Let me actually play that now. This is the fan at max. Loud, right? Also, the Type-C port here, okay, let me turn that off. Also, the Type-C port here is USB 3.2 Gen 2. And the Pocket Evo doesn't give you a desktop mode or a mirror mode. It just turns the display off and puts everything onto the screen instead, which does make sense given how you generally use a handheld. Now all this is well and good, but the Pocket Evo is not a device that's perfect. It does have its cons, and there are actually three major ones I've noticed. Number one, the lack of a 3.5mm jack. Come on, how do you even justify that on a device this big with active cooling? Unlike phone brands, AyaNeo doesn't even sell TWS earphones for them to benefit from this. So what the hell, why? Number two, the lack of an auto brightness sensor. Not sure why a premium handheld at this price, with that OLED screen being its major USP, launches without an auto brightness sensor. Weird, right? The third one, the big one, software. Not the fact that it's Android 13, but rather the fact that it's a little buggy. Let me give you a couple of examples. Randomly, when I was trying to take screenshots ended up appearing dim. I didn't know why, a reboot fixed it. At times, when I leave YouTube Music playing on it, playback stops after a couple of tracks. You think the app was killed in the background, right? But no, my VPN stays on, I have downloads in the background that are just running fine, but YouTube Music, for whatever reason, keeps stopping and I just can't figure out why. When at the lowest brightness, the different refresh rate choices, they kind of add a green or purple cast to the screen. This used to be much worse, but an update has reduced it considerably. But the same update, I think, got the minimum brightness up to 6 nits. Now your regular phones and tablets usually drop down to 1 or 2 nits, This is basically the difference you'd see S24 Ultra, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Galaxy Tab S6, Lenovo Y700 2025. It's called the 2025, and the AyaNeo Pocket Evo. You need to make sure that this AyaNeo brightness toggle is on, and you make brightness adjustments from the quick tool window to the side. It takes a second, but this fixes the colors, and I also figured out that this is what was causing that dim screenshot issue. This might or might not bother some, but overall the point I'm making is that software on this, it's a little buggy. It definitely needs to be ironed out. Now, to be fair to AyaNeo, even in their reviewer's guide, they clearly state that this is not the final production version. So hoping these things will get fixed. And as I said, fixes, updates have been coming. And now as I wrap, let me show you footage of the unboxing experience. The AyaNeo Pocket Evo, it's not a cheap handheld. It starts at $389, and that's the Indiegogo early bird price. Now, if you happen to be a get a Steam Deck instead kind of person, then you should get a Steam Deck instead. Because let's be honest, no brand with no handheld is ever gonna beat the value proposition that the Steam Deck is. And that's because Valve continues to make money once the Steam Deck is in your hands via Steam. Other brands like AyaNeo don't. Now, if you like the large 7-inch screen and are looking at a powerful handheld with a beautiful display to emulate, to stream, or do whatever it is that you want to do, the AyaNeo Pocket Evo seems like a very good choice. I absolutely love it, no pun intended. And I guess that is all I have to say about the AyaNeo Pocket Evo. If you've made it this far and love and appreciate the fact that never once did I call this a beast, drop this video a like, get subscribed, and thanks for watching. Ash out.